So here we are, we're back in Clive's allotment for his latest update. How's it all been going?
Yeah, not too bad really. One or two mishaps and I'm fighting butterflies at the moment, but let's show you what we've done. I've just took my rooms up, they're about dry now, look. I've left that one on the top because that was a bolter. And you see the thick neck on it, that won't store. So I've left that on top so I can use that up. But the rest of them, I'll let them finish drying off in there and then I'll hang them all up for usage. What can we show? Oh yeah, I've had a bit of a problem with the blackbirds. I think I told you last week I just re-sowed some parsnip. Of course the blackbirds had got in my bed and had lifted all my compost up searching for worms and bugs and that. So I put another 2 rows in. A couple of days later I had a look, they'd been under again. Couldn't believe it. So I've re-sown again, two rows again, redid them. And fuck me, the next morning they'd been in again. I don't know whether you can see these. Full row there, they've not touched that. I've just swept all this up actually, but you see an hole there, look. They'd been in there, there's one there and there's one there. And there's one right near the tag there, where I'd sown. And what was happening with my net not being pegged down, it was leaning on top here. And the little buggers were going under here, getting under my leeks and getting under and going that way. So I've had to really make sure that they're bedded down, and for 2 days I've not had a problem with them. So fingers crossed we're keeping them out. And another thing we're having a problem with, butterflies, let me show you this. I've left these on especially to show you. Can you see this here? Butterfly eggs, can you see them there?
Yeah.
And although it's netted, what's happening with them going up, they're pushing the net and the butterflies are landing on the net and they're laying through them. Another batch here, look. Another batch, look, there's one, look. They don't look too healthy to be fair, that one. We see that one there? That's another batch there. See them? So all I do here, look, squash them in my fingers. I sure we get them all. Because if I leave them a couple of days, these will be crawling with black and white caterpillars and they devastate your cabbage and make a right mess of them. A right mess of them. And they make them smell, all the droppings and that. They don't half taint them. Awful, awful. And like you see, you have to keep them covered up all the time, and that's the reason. They're not so bad because this is a finer mesh. And these are cabbage, the lower growing. But the reason I couldn't put that on there is because they're a shorter mesh, and it would really restrict them. It would break the leaf as it's grown basically. So I've had to put a bigger net on, which unfortunately it's a bigger mesh anyway, so we're fighting and losing battle to be fair. But and the broccoli, I've had all that off just about now. There's a little bit there, look, and I can see that. There's still a little shoot coming there, but I would think in the next week or so I'll take these up and they're done with. Beans are still coming well. Beans are still coming well, look. Clusters of them keep coming. I picked a right load off these the other day, that's why there's not so many on, but see that one there, look? I've got to take that off soon because you can feel the beans in that, and they'll soon start to go past the best. The yellow ones, again, they're still coming lovely, look. Plenty of them. The tomatoes, I've had some for my dinner today. I had a nice salad with them. They're ripening off all right. Not too quick. I'd rather them come a bit faster than that, actually, the ripening of them. But hey-ho, they'll get there. And I think, you know, I said I'm going to chop the leaves off these cucumbers, and see if we can get some new leaves coming on. We've started to get some flowers, look, because I've only had 3 cucumbers off these, and they're suffering with the mildew on the leaves. But I've chopped all the leaves off, and look, we're all getting some flowers on and some new leaves there. So hopefully we'll get a few more. The pumpkins, I don't know why, but they've about done. You can tell that, look, leaves are finishing, that's ripening. And I would be very, well look, just look at the leaves, are all finishing. And they're finishing very early, aren't they? Because, I mean, when do the kiddies have these? About October, isn't it? So, yeah, I think that's it for the pumpkins. That's done. And tomatoes are still doing all right here. Again, not ripening too fast, but they are ripening steadily. And I want to show you where you come in, where we started actually. I said I just had my onions up, and this is what I do when I take a crop. And I've not got my fork for digging. All I do is put compost on, look. The compost, look. I just spread it on. And just level it all out, look. And what I'll do, I'm going to put some spring cabbage in there, just a few. In actual fact, I forgot my spring cabbage this year and I've just had to go out and fetch some. I'll grow them from seed. I don't fetch plants in. I grow all my own plants from seed. And them that's the only ones I could get this morning. Flower of spring. And you can have them for an autumn crop or a spring crop. And I want these for a spring crop, like a spring cabbage. So it says there we can sow these till August, so we're all right. And then we should be harvesting well, it says here February, March time. So yeah, we'll get them going today, or certainly later this week. So yeah, I think that's about it, apart from a few disasters with the butterflies and the blackbirds under there. I'm hoping now, because that's the last chance to sow them parsnip really, or else they're not going to do anything. So I'm hoping we're going to keep them off now, and we'll get some germination, but we'll let you know how they go on. My carrots have germinated, look over here, and I put them in the same time as I put them other parsnip in. And the carrots here, look, they've germinated. And that's the Autumn King. Yeah, the Autumn King is that one. I know it's the Autumn one anyway. Yeah, Autumn King, yeah. And that was sown on the 16th of the 7th. So we've only been there a couple of 3 weeks, and yeah, we're doing all right with that. So I just hope we can get some parsnip now. And again, that's what I did with them. When this grown was finished with the spring onions, I just spread the compost out levelled it all off and sown into the compost, and they'll grow right through and straight through into the ground. So yeah, that's how we do as no dig really. So we'll keep you informed with that how everything comes. Oh, I've just bitten some beetroot as well. I did them last week. I've done 2 jars, and we've still got some coming there. But I'm waiting to do my shallots. I've just been and got some vinegar for them this morning. So we'll be doing them over the next week or fortnight or so, and we'll let you know how it all goes.